Yeah, tonight I just wanted to do a post I've been meaning to do for a while on post-traumatic stress disorder, or known as PTSD, and what I refer to as post-traumatic energy storage, which is what I believe it is. Um, I want to start by saying, a disclaimer that I'm not a medical doctor or a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm not practiced in any of these. What I'm speaking from is personal experience and discovery. And I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder a few years ago now. It was back in 2013 when I was working in the military. And yeah, it's come to my attention. It's been noticed a lot by myself and all through the media that we have a big issue with this post-traumatic stress. We have a lot of people coming back from overseas, and not just military. This extends to emergency services. People in everyday life can be affected with post-traumatic stress disorder. This is, or what I call post-traumatic energy storage. So I'm just going to touch on what it is to me, what I believe it to be, and what I believe it's not, and my feelings around it, and what I experienced during this time, and some of the coping mechanisms and things I use to move through this, holistic remedies and things. But yeah, the reason why I'm doing it is basically I see too many people that I know, too many of my friends, struggling with this, and it's hard to sit back and watch. People and their families get affected as well. So it's a big deal, and I just wanted to touch on it and get some understanding around it, not just for people suffering from PTSD or PTES, what I call it, but also the families. I want to give them an understanding of actually what's going on inside. This is speaking from my mind, but also other people may be experiencing similar things. So Tessa, you are such a blessing to this world. Thank you, Tessa. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Laura, hello. Ernie, Renee, Zach. So many beautiful people on here tonight. Thank you all for coming on and watching. So the first thing I'll talk about is basically how I felt, at the beginning when I was really suffering from this to a high degree. And the first thing that I really felt was disconnected from people, from everybody. That includes my family, community, people that I didn't know, and myself as well. Very disconnected from myself. Next thing I felt a lot of guilt from my job and my role, and that was kind of a real big one for me to sort of work through and learn to accept and to move through that. So guilt can be very a very strong feeling, and this is, I believe it's not just me, we send our people out to do certain jobs, whether it's here at home or abroad, and they experience things that they wouldn't normally experience, or do things that we wouldn't normally do, and we come home and try to reintegrate into a normal society, but it can be really difficult because of this guilt. I was very physically strong when I came home, like physically in my body was very strong, but my mind was very fractured. My my soul was very fractured, very disconnected again. There was a complete separation of soul and body. And I had to work through that to bring those back together. And I'm going to speak about how I did that as well shortly. Fear was a really big one for me, coming back in so many ways. From hypervigilance, I was very hypervigilant. Anywhere I went, I'd be walking down the street and I would think, feel that things are going to happen to me, when in actual fact they never were going to happen. But this was all in my mind, and this was something that I was programmed and received from my service, and it made it really difficult just to live in an everyday life. People, I feared people, being around people. Fear of sleep. I was afraid to go to sleep a lot of the time, because of what might arise in my subconscious mind. When you're asleep, you don't have control over your mind, so certain things pop up and you don't have any control. When you're awake and you're conscious, you can do things, you can make your mind busy, you can go over here and go over there and do something else. But when you're sleeping, these things come up, and to have a fear of going to sleep can lead to lots of things like self-medication and things like this, which is, it's not the best way to deal with things, in my opinion, and through my own discovery. And the biggest one that I had was a fear of dying, a fear of death, because I felt that, when that day would come, I would have to face everything, all my guilt, all my fears, everything would come up in that time of transition or that death, and to be afraid of dying, that is a really, really strong emotion and debilitating. It's really, you can't get away from that unless you work through it. When you're in your conscious mind, you can't get away from that, because we're all gonna, pass at one time. We're all gonna transition. So that was a really big fear. I couldn't communicate with people. I couldn't communicate with my family. I couldn't communicate with anybody. I could say short things, hello, how you going? But to engage in a conversation with anybody was extremely difficult. I felt very alone, and this is something that's carried on a lot, because when you leave your place of employment or whatever it is, and then you are diagnosed with such a condition, or people maybe think of you differently or treat you differently, and a lot of your friends that you would regularly be around and talk to, who have been in the similar situations, aren't there anymore, because they're doing what they're doing, they're busy, and you're doing what you're doing. So you've lost that support network, and then your other friends and your family, they don't really understand what you've been through, so it's hard to talk to them. So you're kind of in this space in between, the two polarities, and you can't. It's just hard to get that out. Hey Todd, thank you, bro. Yeah, so it was a very strong feeling of being misunderstood, of being cut off. Another one was anger. Like, I came back with this, I had this sort of ego that I'd grown myself, and I thought, if I do this and do that, then I become this great thing, and it's this and that, and then you come out of that field or whatever it is that you're doing, and it's like the rest of the world is busy living their own lives, and rightfully so, and they're not, they can't understand what your journey is. They can't understand because they're not there. No one, you can't tell anyone enough words to describe to make them feel and understand what you've been through. So, it made me a bit angry, and that anger also comes from learning. We learn this anger from other people, other energies, other situations that we may be in. We see this, and then we just learn it, and then it's there. So it also comes out that way. Hi Alberta. Hey Nathan. Another big one that I went through, had a period with suicidal thoughts, and these were really challenging. And being in a role where you are subjected to death, and also being in the environment where post-traumatic stress is quite prevalent and suicide is a common factor. Like, it happens a lot, way too much, and it almost becomes normal, to be around that, and that itself is really, those thoughts just come in, but until you move through all these things that you're dealing with, it's really hard to release that. So that was back in the future. Let me just say clearly now, there is absolutely no suicidal tendencies or thoughts within me, within any part of my body or being or my mind. I haven't had that for a long while now, which I'm very grateful for. But it is a big factor in this sort of realm of post-traumatic stress, or post-traumatic energy storage. So those are a few of the things that I was feeling, moving through, up until, dealing with all this stuff. Hey Gypsy, thank you darling. Alberta, thank you so much. Gabriel, I never go away. Well, there are ways to move through that, and hopefully I'm going to share some of that with you. And Nathan, I still struggle a bit with this stuff. And and no one's alone in feeling this anger, and separation, because we're not given the right tools, we're not taught the right tools, and to deal with it and move through it and actually process it and allow it to come out in a natural way. And I'm about to go into that now. So, what is post-traumatic stress disorder, or what is post-traumatic energy storage? To me, it's basically, it's energy stored as memories. So every time we see something, we hear something, we experience something, whether it's in our physical body or around us in our environment, we pick up certain vibrations from that. Also memories, also known as memories, and we store them in our body, in our being, and we need to process it. But that's, to me, that's sort of a short way of putting it. It's the vibratory remnants in the body from sounds, blasts, actions of others, actions of ourselves, electromagnetic frequencies, radios, equipment, certain rooms. You could be in a role, in whatever job you're in a room that might be pumping a frequency into you, and you're holding on to that. Other people's energy we pick up, and if we don't release it, it's the same thing. And also, especially in a combat role, or an environment when you're around, people that are transitioning, or souls are leaving their bodies, then there's also the possibility that sometimes some of this energy can also attach itself to our physical bodies as well. So that's something to be mindful of. But yeah, it's the memories, they're picked up by our five senses, and they must be removed or replaced by other memories and other things we can pick up with our five senses as well. But we've got to be mindful not to suppress them, because suppressing this energy is what we're doing. And if we're suppressing it, it doesn't have an outlet. And eventually it's going to find an outlet because it needs to, and it may not be in the most ideal way. I'll just take a couple of these. It's not nice what I experienced, and I'm still yet to process a lot of it, unfortunately. And a lot of us are, Annabelle. There's so many people out there that are holding on to it because we're not taught or given the tools to move through it. Wade, post-traumatic energy storage is an interesting concept that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it is. It's just energy we're picking up. And to put it in context, like think about, what have I got here? Think about a cable, an electric cable, and you have a light switch, and you can turn that cable, you can turn the energy flow on and off. So there's certain ways that we're shown and we're taught to block the energy from flowing, to block the electricity from moving through the cable. That's what we're taught, and that's seems to be the first response for things like this. But what's happening is, literally we're blocking that energy and it can't flow. So we need to learn to open up the conductors. We need to turn the switch on, and we need to allow the energy to flow through freely. But yeah, again, it's the same as electricity moving through a cable. It's not a physical thing that you can touch, but it's real. It's electric and it's alive and it's moving through something. And that's the same thing that's happening in your brain, in your receptors. This energy is trying to move through for processing, and if it's blocked, then it's not moving anywhere. It's staying. But if we open up these channels through certain ways, then we can allow that energy to flow through naturally and come out. Certain things that may block the emotions and the energy from moving freely are like toxins, anything unnatural that you put into an organic environment or a natural environment is going to cause disharmony. So it's going to be, if we're taking certain things that are not natural, they're synthetic, maybe containing metals, heavy metals, and things like this. We have these brain receptors, and what they are is they like fire energy in between the receptors. They fire electricity, and these are your thoughts and emotions. And if we put a toxin in between those receptors, then the information can't get through. It's stuck. It's fighting itself. And not only that, if we're putting toxins into our system, it's also it's an added extra thing that our body and our mind has to fight off, because you introduce a non-organic material into your body, and your body's response is to fight it and to remove it from your system. So it's actually just adding extra layers of things to fight. So basically, what is it again? In short, post-traumatic energy storage is, in my opinion, is an energetic, emotional, vibratory storage of disharmonious frequencies in the body and the brain and the psyche. And that's what it is to me. I'm not an expert. I'm not a, like I said before, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. This is just my own experiences and how I feel it operating within my own body and my own mind. The next thing I want to just talk about, what isn't PTSD or PTES. And what I think it's not is a chemical imbalance. There's no tests that are done for this. It's basically you say what your issues are, and then you're maybe given things. But it's if it's a chemical imbalance, even if it is to try and fight that imbalance with external non-natural things, is to add to the problem, in my opinion. To keep it natural is much better. It's not something that makes you hallucinate and makes you, think any differently, in the sense, or perceive reality any differently. Just because you've had certain experiences throughout your life, it doesn't mean that you're any different to anybody else. You've just had a different experience, and maybe it's made you more aware of things, or maybe it's created certain responses in your body, but it's not, you don't hallucinate. It's not something that people need to come in and baby and nurture and try and fix, because it's not what it is. It doesn't change your reality. I think I said that. And it's not causing you to lose brain cells. It's not you're not losing anything, unless you're putting things into your body that may be destroying things within your organic matter if they're non-organic. And one thing I just want to touch on also is for family members and people that know people, that may be experiencing post-traumatic energy storage, is, if you're not the one experiencing it, then I just offer to you to listen to the person who is experiencing it, because, nothing has changed within their being, and they're just going to tell you how they're feeling, if they're open to that. But I suggest not trying to impose somebody else's way of doing things onto people that are suffering. If you haven't experienced it yourself, then it's hard to give advice on what to do. You really need to let them sort of figure it out, or if they're saying they want to do something or don't want to do something, then support them, but don't put your opinion and your advice, because if you give the wrong advice, it may do irreversible damage to that person. And everything that you say to that person, that is entering their psyche as well. And if you're treating them like there's something wrong, they're going to feel like something's wrong. So just be aware and mindful. If people need help, they'll ask for it generally. And What's Sammy got to say? I love the concept of calling it post-traumatic energy storage. It takes a lot of the drama away from its label, and I feel like a lot of people identify too much with that drama, which then leaves them in victim mentality, which then makes it harder to heal the wounds. The way you're explaining it makes it as simple as it actually is. Digging in your take on it, Barbs. Thanks, Sammy. Hey, Jono. Thank you, Tessa. Yeah, it's so that's where we're at the moment. The professional response. So what's some of the professional responses that I've experienced and witnessed is, personally, you know, the first thing they did was put me in this thing. They put my head in this thing, and they started putting all these flashing lights, and it started creating patterns inside my brain. And it felt very uncomfortable, and I pulled myself out of it immediately. And I was told, you know, you're not supposed to pull out, you're supposed to stop there. But it felt so unnatural that I just couldn't bear it, so I pulled out. And the next thing was obviously medication, antidepressants, and sleeping tablets. And for me, some points the sleeping tablets did come in handy. You know, at the beginning I did use them at times, but with the antidepressants, you know, on my second day, I started to experience lots of more anxiety than I already was, and I started feeling a weird vibration through my body. I was on a train, and I literally started going dizzy and blacking out, and as the train pulled up at the station, I sort of pulled the door open to walk off, and I just collapsed and fell onto the train, and got to the hospital, and that was it for me. I from that moment on, I was too scared to even ingest anything like that, and I refused to do it anymore. So yeah, that's how I felt on them. I don't know how everyone else feels. I can't really comment on that. And maybe for some people it really helps depending on what stage they're at. I'm not sure. I can't comment on that either. So I'm not saying, you know, don't listen to your doctor or don't do this and that. I mean, definitely go to your doctor and speak to them and just see what's available. But really listen to your body and your mind, number one, because nobody else knows what you're feeling. Nobody else knows, you know, what's going on in there except for you. So the first thing you need to listen to is yourself. You know, some other people that I've met that have been also dealing with post-traumatic stress, and one guy in particular, he was subjected to electrotherapy, or electric shock therapy, I think, where they would send electricity through his brain. They would shock him, and yeah, he had a lot of trouble remembering things after that, even in a conversation, what he was talking about, and he would just forget things very, very rapidly. And it actually really broke my heart to speak to him, and to see that state he was in. It was very, very hard. And yeah, I actually sat there and I sort of had a cry with him, and I didn't know what to sort of say or do, but you know, these are some of the things that they're using to treat, but I'm not seeing many positive outcomes from this sort of treatment. So again, for myself personally, which is all I can speak from, you know, I knew that wasn't for me. And the constant appointments, you know, the constant psych appointments, and the constant talking about it and reaffirming it, and that's literally what you're doing. You know, when you're speaking about these things, you're literally just making it. You just keep reaffirming it in yourself. It's like if you've got a sore on your arm and you keep picking at it, you know, it's gonna stay there. You know, you sort of got to let it heal itself, and in whatever the natural course is, you know. So what's Tessa say? Next thing I'm going to go on with is basically how I coped and how I moved through it, and how I deal with it still on a daily basis, and what practices I use. So I just want to take Tessa's. I take a lot of medication. I do hope to get off it sometime soon. I'm on Prozac and a very high dose of antipsychotics. Yes, and that's it. I mean, and different things work for different people, Tessa. So in your case, that may be what is required at that time, and if it's working for you, then that's great, you know. And so a lot of them are. They say, you know, they sort of want you to be on them for a lifetime. But I think, I mean, I can't really speak from experience because I haven't been on them for that long. But I'm pretty sure that what can be imagined can be achieved, and if at some point you do want to release yourself, then I'm sure there are options for that. definitely not telling you to do it now, but I'm just, yeah, in my personal opinion, I think there is definitely scope for that in the future. Energy storage is a much better way to explain it, much more positive, doesn't make you believe it's a disorder. Exactly right. It's not a disorder. It's just it's something that's happened. It's an event that's happened or something that's happened, and you've stored that energy, that memory in your body, in your mind. That's all it is. And there are ways of releasing it, natural ways of releasing it that actually make you feel even more empowered and stronger when you come through that. So, yeah, there is definitely scope for everyone to experience that. So how I coped and moved through, to begin with, it was just excessive exercise to release energy. It was just, 2 or 3 times a day in the gym or running or whatever it was, just really punishing myself in my body to release energy, which is very taxing on the body. But yeah. And then I started to actually, the next thing I found, the first thing I found that really moved me a lot faster through my journey for me was DMT. I was fortunate enough to be exposed to DMT, which is something I speak about a fair bit. It's not legal, so I can't. I don't recommend or say that anyone should do it, but that's what I used, and it really opened up a lot for me, and it really helped me to understand a lot more of what was going on within myself. Nutrition for me, nutrition was a really, really big one. I started doing things with this nutrition company and taking a lot of nutrients, a lot of greens, a lot of probiotics, a lot of things for my health, and the effects were pretty much immediate. Like, within days you are just feeling 100% better. Also within, straight after it, if you're having these healthy drinks and your gut and your stomach, which is full of neuroreceptors anyway, billions of them. If that's able to receive the nutrients and the goodness you're putting in, then that affects your brain. It affects how you're thinking and how you're feeling. To me, nutrition is really probably 90% of what happens in the mind is from what you put in your body. Surfing. So I started surfing when I left the army, and that for me was really big because I found a lot of things that I was missing out on from work. Like I'd get exercise, I would get adrenaline, I would get fear, I would get, I was creating new neural pathways because I was learning new movements. My body was doing these new movements every day, and that's creating new neural pathways in the brain, which allows energy to flow in different ways. And it taught me a really big lesson on releasing control. Control is something that we can really hold on to, and we're taught to hold on to, especially in these environments, the work environments. Control is a really big thing. And when you're surfing and you're in the waves and the water, you can feel really vulnerable at times because the power of the water and the ocean can be so strong that you are basically helpless and you're at the mercy of Mother Earth, and so it's a really good way of learning to release control and ego also, getting out there and being a beginner at 30, I had to, I'm watching these little kids and they're just surfing like champions, and a lot of people younger, of boys, girls, whatever it is. So you learn from everybody. You learn to pick up skills from everybody, and when you're a beginner, you have to. So it's a really good way to open up and to start accepting things from other people, and to admit to the self, I don't know everything and I do need help with things, and this really helps. So it's really good to learn to let go of the ego. Yoga, yoga is a really big one because you're aligning your body, all the energy lines in your body and energy centers. And when you're doing yoga, you're aligning it, which allows the energy to flow naturally and freely, which really helps with the releases. Meditation to quiet the mind is something that we are, basically, as we go through our working life and whatever, we're taught exactly the opposite. We're always something to do. The mind is constantly going, and when you start to meditate and slow the mind down and really find quiet and calm, then everything goes calm and everything goes quiet. Your whole being, it can really slow down your vibration and change your vibration. Breath work. So I want to talk about breath work for a bit, because breath work to me was my light bulb moment where I knew that this was going to be a really big thing for a lot of people to help move through this stuff, because it's because it releases DMT in the brain naturally. It's a natural practice. Anybody can do it, and it's such a strong practice. And I mean, you can't explain to somebody how it feels to do breath work. You just have to do it, because the feeling is it's so natural, but it's so strong, or it can be so strong. So it dives right it takes you right into your subconscious mind through altered states of consciousness, and it helps you deal with these things in a place, where it might seem scary to think about it now, but when you're there, it just seems natural, and your body knows what to do, your mind knows what to do, and it knows what you need. You just have to open up those channels for it to happen. Along with that, breathing fully can also help to balance out your hormones. So it stimulates your endocrine system, balancing hormones, which can have a really big effect on how you feel, on your mood. Removing toxins from the body, if really breathing fully, as we do that, our body takes all the toxins from inside our body. As it floods our body with oxygen, the oxygen does its job, and it removes toxins. So it takes the toxins from inside the body back to the lungs, or through sweat, whatever it may be. But as it comes through the lungs and you exhale fully, you're releasing a lot of toxins. And that's only just touching the surface with breath work. There was a guy named Stanislav Grof, and what he used to do was studied treating. He was a psychiatrist, doctor, and he was studying treating depression and anxiety and things like this with LSD. And during his studies, LSD became illegal. So what he started doing was practicing with breath work, because it brought on similar altered states of consciousness, and that's how, and he found it to be very effective. And again, breathwork's been around for thousands of years. It's not a new practice. It's just been forgotten about, and so it is, in my opinion, it is one of the most effective and strongest way of removing and moving through energetic blockages in the body. And all of the things that I've spoken about, what they do, they're all creating new pathways in the brain. They're all opening up new pathways and releasing stored energy. So they're all very important. Another big thing I had to let go of, again, I'm going to touch on the ego, is, my job. I wanted what I was doing. I wanted to get there so bad and everything. I just thought that this was like the pinnacle of my life, and this was going to be, what I was doing, and I was so impressed by, it was like my heroes, looking up to them, and so to reach, to reach that place, and then and to leave that place, I almost had this expectation that people would understand, and it was like this hero mentality that you see in the movies, you know, the hero, and then they come back and they get the girl and they do this and that, and that's, you know, it's almost like a sense of entitlement and a sense of heroism, and I felt like, you know, people should know that and recognize it, and it was really hard to learn that it wasn't like that, you know. It was nothing like that, and it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, you know. It was my personal journey, but learning that my job and my role was just that. It was just a role. It was just a part of my life. It's a chapter of my life. It's not my defining. It's not who I am. It's not what I am. It's a part of my character. It's a part of my being. It's a part of who I am, but it's not what I am. And it certainly doesn't define me as a person and why I'm here. Yeah, it was really, it's just a lesson, a very valuable lesson for me, and I'm sure for other people as well. I'm nearly done here. So I've got a long paragraph that I wrote here. I'm just going to read off the sheet actually. So I keep it natural because post-traumatic energy storage is a stored emotional energy known, what we know as memories. Any foreign or inorganic matter introduced into an organic state is an extra burden for that being or that body to fight. So in example, heavy metals, neurotoxins, electric shocks, chemicals. What happens with all these things is they accumulate in the brain. They come together, they accumulate, and they block. And in the body, they block the energy from flowing and processing. So for me, it's just a must that I practice natural ways to process the information and the memories that do come, which I've done very effectively. And I really don't have too many issues with them anymore, because of, you know, and it's an ongoing practice. It's not like, you know, you do these things once. It's not a magic pill. It's not, but it's an ongoing practice. It's almost a lifestyle change. Well, it is a lifestyle change. But if you want to live in a happy and a peaceful and a loving life, and you want that connection with your family and your friends and yourself, and you want to return to what it was, you know, what you were like beforehand, and you want to feel that again, you want to feel that love again, you want to feel what it's like to be human again, then you just have to do the work, you know, and you got to keep at it. The body and the brain naturally fight to remove any foreign objects or toxins, and it's already under stress from whatever it is that we've experienced. So it's just something to keep in mind, and why I keep it natural again. So I've spoken about that a few times, and that's about it for my notes. I'm just going to go through and check the comments again. Hey Scott, hey Timmy, hey Mel, hey Ange, Sheena, Lani, Katrina. I love bushwalking for my PTS. Yeah, absolutely, and that's something I forgot to mention is getting out in nature. Thank you, Katrina. Bushwalking and just being amongst the trees and reconnecting to nature, to the earth. You know, that's where you come from. Elementally, that's what you are. So to reconnect to that is extremely important, and you know, it's really important for grounding energy. Even if you just go and, you know, you don't even have to meditate. as such, but even if you just go and lay on the ground in the bush somewhere, take your, have as much skin showing as you can, and really just allow yourself to lay on the ground and let the energies, the earth energies, to wash over you. Any more comments? Hey, Serena. Todd, well, Lucas, you really are so in touch. An amazing example of showing people that PTSD is real and okay to understand. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I mean, it seems like, it's like this thing that people they're afraid to talk about. There's this stigma attached to it, which there is, and it's really just a misunderstanding. And if anyone has any issues with you having a hard time or a challenging time or dealing with something emotionally, then the issue's not yours, the issue's theirs. If anyone has any problems with that, then that's not your problem, that's theirs. And don't let that affect you, because everybody has something going on, and and those that don't have something going on, in my experience, are more than willing and more than happy to share their love and their energy with people that do. That's what humans do. We come together and we help each other when we need it, and that's innate. That's who we are and what we are, and that's a natural feeling, to want to help people, and that's why a lot of us get into the jobs we do, because we want to honour people, we want to help people, and that's what we join up to do. So Tara, thank you Tara. Jackie Bailey, too many lights, too many power, EFPS, my meds and my life, enjoying your voice, Tara. Bless you, Jackie. And again, Jackie, yeah, whatever's working for you and keeping you happy and in your place of comfort, then yeah, just stick to what makes you happy, because listen to yourself is my biggest message, is to listen to your body and your mind and yourself, and trust yourself and back yourself, because nobody knows you like you know you, and that's it. Great talk, a must discussion to be had by a lot of people. Thank you, Todd. Hey, Cybran. Katrina, thank you. Thank you all so much for watching, and please share it if you got something from it. Please share it with your friends, because even if it does reach one other person that may be having issues or not, but just the opportunity to share and to change someone else or to help somebody else, then please do. And I will be putting I'm putting this retreat together. It's not going to be a retreat as such, it's going to be a camp. I'm just the organizer of the camp, and everyone who's coming, I'm not getting paid for it. It's just it's going to be, we're going to pay for our own food, and for whoever comes in to teach us the yoga and the surfing and whatever we're going to do on this camping week. But it's going to be 7 days, 5 days of 5 days of workshops and things and activities, and the last 2 days, hopefully, if we get enough people and enough people with partners, then we're going to have the last 2 days are going to be really available for partners to come in as well and experience what it is that your partner will be experiencing, so that when you leave there, you will be on the same level and have the same understanding of or similar understanding of what's been happening. And I really believe that it will be a really transformational week for those that come, or at least most of those that come. So I hope to see some people there. Again, please private message me if you want to come. We have a couple of people already. And we have a beautiful space, thanks to my friend Todd. Amazing he's just come through and organised the perfect space already, and it just so happened that this was organised on that day or for that week. So we're going to have a beautiful place at the back of Coffs Harbour with beautiful running creek through it, toilet and shower facilities. It's going to be more camping in teepees and really submerged in nature. Gabrielle, thank you. Would be great to do more breath work. Yeah, breath work is so powerful. Ollie, good on you. Thanks for talking about this subject and with honesty from where you are coming from. Thank you, Ollie. Gabriel, Sky, what if you don't have a partner? Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a partner either. So if you don't have a partner, then we'll just do whatever we're doing. But it's going to be fine. Yeah, if anyone's got like their dogs or service dogs, they're welcome to come as well. But yeah, don't stress if you don't have a partner. You just hang out with me, and yeah, I mean, we'll all be doing the activities together anyway, so yeah, you won't be missing me out. Jackie, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. So if there's no more questions, I'll wrap it up, and yeah, please do share the video if you got something from it, and thank you again for watching. It feels really good to do this video, and recently I've had some friends, contacting me and connecting with me again, asking me about the camp and about things that I'm doing, and it really makes me feel validated, which is something that I shouldn't require, but it just makes me feel really validated and happy when people start opening up. People are starting to open up now, and I'm experiencing and feeling it, and they're coming to me, and it's really beautiful. So I thank those people for being the first ones to come forward. I know that this is a pretty uncharted territory for most people, and it can be quite intimidating to be the first ones to come through and to start and to do this, and then to even speak out about it eventually. So yeah, thank you all, and keep these videos and retreats to voice this more. Absolutely. Thank you, Todd. And I can't release for a couple of days. I'm in so much pain right now trying to get it to work with breath work. So I've just go through the breath work again, bro, like we did that day, and we'll go and practice your yelling, that yelling that you were talking about. Go and do what you have to do. Go and sing, get out in nature. Go and ground yourself. Go and do some yoga and meditation. But yeah, you got to put the work in again. It comes back to you. Thank you, Gabriel, and that makes me feel beautiful that it's uplifted you, and it's uplifted me as well to be able to share this and to be free to share this. I'm very grateful, and yeah, it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and actually I've had quite a bit of anxiety around this subject and putting this video out, so it feels really good to have done it. Thank you again, Todd. Hey, Trevor. Yeah, so thanks again for watching, and good night. I hope to see some of you at the retreat, and please, please share, and I look forward to talking to you and meeting to you soon. Good night. Light and illumination, and much love to you all. Thank you.